Hi everyone, my name is Caitlin Richter and I'm going to be talking to you today about stigma and discrimination surrounding people living with HIV. So HIV is an acronym for Human Immunodeficiency Virus. It's a virus, sorry guys, this is my cat. Yeah, okay. So anyways, Human Immunodeficiency Virus, it's a virus that essentially slowly destroys a person's immune system. It leaves a person very vulnerable to infections and diseases, so even little things like the common cold can be really potentially dangerous to someone living with HIV. Luckily, there are medications available that help to fight infections so that folks with HIV do not get sick as often. And people that are living with HIV and taking the medications really can live full, productive, and healthy lives. And stigma towards people living with HIV has decreased over time in the United States, thankfully. A 2002 study looked at trends in stigma and knowledge surrounding HIV, and it showed that some of the more extreme views, like feeling that people that have HIV need to be quarantined, for example, more of those extreme views have really decreased in the US. But other beliefs, such as thinking that people with HIV somehow deserve their illness, those kinds of views have increased. And about a third of the participants in that study also said that they were uncomfortable or that they had some sort of negative feelings towards people that have HIV. So clearly, living with HIV not only affects a person's health, but it also greatly affects their social life and their sexuality. So when we're thinking about the circles of sexuality, I would imagine that living with HIV and the stigma surrounding that affects a lot of aspects of someone's sexuality. When thinking about the first circle of sexuality, so sensuality, I could imagine that someone living with HIV might have a kind of different body image of themselves. Living with a chronic illness like HIV could maybe make someone feel like their body is failing them or attacking them, and this could lead to poor body image, plus the fact that a lot of folks already have a kind of stigma towards people living with HIV that could lead to people really internalizing those images of themselves. Also when thinking about intimacy, so it can be really difficult for people with HIV to disclose their status to their partners, and this limits sharing, honesty, and openness. It can also lead to concerns around vulnerability. So not only the person living with HIV who may feel unable to be vulnerable with a partner, but also their partner could feel sexually guarded or even romantically guarded as well. And I can't think of too many ways that HIV might affect sexual identity. So as far as, their sexual orientation, their gender roles, gender identity, all of that. But I think it could possibly affect sexual identity. So it's possible that other people could question an HIV-positive person's sexual orientation. There's a common misconception that only LGBT folks get HIV, or even more specifically, that only gay men can get HIV. And this simply isn't true, right? Anyone that is sexually active, uses intravenous needles, has some risk of developing HIV. But upon disclosing that someone has HIV, it's possible that people could reference this myth, believe this myth, and assume someone's sexuality or assume that how they contracted HIV was from gay sex. So while I don't think HIV status would affect how someone feels about their sexual identity all that much, I think it could impact how others perceive their sexual identity. So that's all I have for you today. I did provide a couple links with more info. One shows some of the trends I was talking about in the US in regards to stigma surrounding HIV, and the other is a qualitative study that shows some firsthand accounts of people living with HIV and the daily stigma and discrimination that they face. So if you're interested in learning more, feel free to check those out, and thanks for watching.